Did you ever hear the tragedy of Star Wars The Acolyte?
No.
I thought not. It's not a story George Lucas would tell you. Seriously, what was this show? When I first found out about this show and its premise, I was so excited. I was ready to explore the dark side of the Force and see some Sith training montages, not whatever this show was trying to do. Oh, and just a disclaimer, this review is only going to be criticizing the writing and the decisions they chose to make in the show, not anything else. And also, spoilers ahead, so if you care about spoilers, go watch the show and come back. Alright, here we go. You ready? I can't believe Smiler Ren was Jar Jar Binks.
Excuse me, Mr. Back. Mr. called Jar Jar Binks.
Just kidding. Imagine if that would have happened though, everyone would have lost their minds. So anyway, let's talk about the show. Here's what I thought. It sucks. 0 out of 10. End of review. Alright, let's start with what I liked about the show. The lightsaber fights. I gotta hand it to them. The lightsaber fights were pretty okay in the show, not so much in the beginning in the first 2 episodes where we had these weird martial arts fight scenes straight from the Matrix, but when we get to the 5th episode and the last episode, I feel like I was actually entertained by the fights, so that's good.
So good.
I don't know whether they're going to keep this trend though, since this was set in the era before the prequels, and the prequels had that fast-paced fighting style, so maybe it was only a nod to that. But I very much prefer this type of fighting to the slow-paced ones we have seen so far in these Star Wars shows. We know they can do it, just look at Ahsoka vs Maul in the Clone Wars, where they used motion capture for the fight. But that was pretty much it. They teased some cool ideas at the end, but if we just get this season of the show, it really didn't do it for me as a proper Star Wars show. It also just leaves more questions than answers, and the main mystery behind the plot wasn't that interesting. I feel like the more interesting stuff would have been what was teased in the last episode of the show. I was expecting the story to explore a lot more of the dark side of the Force and the Sith, maybe the beginnings of Palpatine's master, and maybe we'll see that if there is a second season, but they sure took their time introducing characters that were killed off pretty soon anyway, and we hardly got to know them at all. So I don't know, I feel like the whole twin storyline was boring, because Osha and May were not that interesting. Sol and Smilo Ren were the only ones that I was actually interested in, and I just wanted to see more of what the Sith can do and how they train to do it. But instead we get more of the Jedi in the High Republic era and boring characters. By the way, I'm just gonna keep calling this character Smilo Ren because of his incredible smile. He could be in an R&B commercial.
I thought my teeth were clean, but my dentist said no, they're still plaque. Switch your brush from this to one with a rounded brush head.
Oral-B is rounded to reach between teeth and gums.
Oral-B, brush like a pro.
I was also just wondering why they had to break so much of the lore that's already established, and on multiple occasions too. Why don't they just do a lore check after the script is written and have all the sweaty Star Wars fans checkmark every plot hole and mistake in the script before they finalize it? You have the money, Disney. With the $180 million budget that you gave this show, just chuck $50 to Star Wars Theory or something, and then you can quickly check all the things that would break the lore. I personally get anxiety when they make plot holes that could have been easily avoided, and then I'm left questioning stuff like, why did Ki-Adi-Mundi say in the Phantom Menace that there hasn't been a Sith in a millennium if they had Smilo Ren killing Jedi using the Force? That's pretty much a Sith, even though he didn't identify as one. I mean, was he just lying to everyone in the council? And if he was, wouldn't they all have seen that he was lying? I mean, Yoda literally says in the same movie that the Jedi can see through the lies, so what's up with this? Or did he not find out what was the cause of the Jedi killings? He must have sensed it, so the only conclusion is that he lied.
Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
See through you. We can.
Your mother have been extinct for a millennium.
Oh, or to say have you? Afraid, are you?
Your mother.
Oh.
Uh-oh!
And speaking of Yoda, they tease that he is in fact existing there in the council. How come he doesn't sense any of this going on? Another question that is not answered once again in the show. In a recent Inverse interview with Leslie Headland, the creator of the show, it is revealed that Yoda actually knew that something was going on the whole time. It just seems a bit weird to me that he just goes along with it when Ki-Adi-Mundi just says there hasn't been any Sith around in ages. Apparently there were conversations about not including Yoda in the show at all, but Headland said, and I quote, "I mean, it's my show." I just personally disagree with that sort of attitude when you've gotten the chance to make a Star Wars show. I mean, it's Star Wars, not something that she originally came up with on her own. This is my show, I get to do whatever I want, and screw previous installments in this IP, it's all mine!
You, like your father, are now mine.
I was also interested to see what Smilo Ren's intentions were throughout the show. Like, how come he was so powerful and why did he want a pupil? But we didn't get any answers, so thanks Leslie. Like, yeah, he did say he wants freedom to live and the Jedi wouldn't allow that for some reason that wasn't explained. Did the Jedi ever say, we must kill everyone who uses the Force and is not a Jedi? Is that really what they think? And if it is, why wasn't that explored or told in the show? I feel like Smilo and the witches just say that the Jedi won't allow them to exist, but I saw the Jedi never disclose that fact. I mean, sure, they're cautious with the Force witches, but they're not automatically like, oh, we found some witches in the fortress nearby.
Oh, how lovely.
And they were using the Force.
Burn them all!
Here's a couple things I didn't understand. At the end of the first episode, Smilo tells May to kill a Jedi without a weapon, but in the next episode, she still uses the blade. If the purpose of the trial is to kill a Jedi without a weapon, then you can't cheat with your knives. Or is she like, no, it's not a weapon, it's a letter opener?
Well, that's fine then.
The scene where we see Smilo Ren for the first time looked a bit tacky initially. I like the island scenes later in the season, but this scene in the first episode where Smilo ignites his lightsaber on the cliffside, it's giving fan film. Also, this scene doesn't make any sense logistically. He starts doing his monologue before May even has him in her sight, and even when she does see him, she's standing like 50 feet away from him. Is he talking to himself, or does he have an inbuilt megaphone in his mask? There's no way she can hear him from that far away with all the beach noises.
Master? Sorry, I can't hear you. What are you saying?
The first two episodes have good pacing in my opinion, but we don't have a lot of time to get to know the characters, and it's a fairly big cast from the start too, so I would have liked to connect with the characters more. However, Yord is one of the most frustrating characters I reckon. There's a scene in the beginning of the show where Sol asks, what's wrong with Yord? And Jackie responds, well, he's Yord. Okay, well, what does that mean? We never really dive deeper into it, and it doesn't really matter because Smilo kills him anyway, so good riddance. Anyway, Master Tobin kills himself, so that's fun. In the 7th episode, we learn Sol kills the Aniseed witch, so Torben didn't really have that much of a part of it. It just seems weird that he would be the one to feel the most guilty. I feel like Sol did the most damage here. But okay, Torben, I would drink some poison too if I had been floating in a room quietly for 10 years. Also, Osha is one of the worst shots I've ever seen. She literally shoots those stunning circles they have in Star Wars, so you would think they have such a wide target area because it's a large circle. It's at least like a meter radius circle, and she still misses 2 times with it. She must be the ancestor of all stormtroopers in the original trilogy or something.
How did you miss that?
The 3rd episode was a whole lot of boring. Like, yeah, we got to know the backstory of the fire and what happened, but I feel like that episode completely backfired. They showed us May starting the fire, and then the whole mountain castle made out of rocks and cement just all of a sudden gets engulfed by flames, which doesn't make any sense, but then again, physics don't really exist in Star Wars, I suppose. And then because of that, May says she needs to kill the 4 Jedi because the Jedi killed her Covenant family, and then we find out later that yeah, the Jedi did trespass into the fortress, but the only one they did kill was Mother Aniseed, and the rest was because of the fire, so the only one she should be killing is herself.
Oh.
When the Jedi are having a meeting about May, they say, oh yeah, she has killed 2 Jedi Masters, and then they show a hologram of Kanaka, Indara, and Torben, and the dead ones are marked red. What the hell is that? Surely they know who is dead and who she's coming after next. Why are they showing the characters like that? To make it seem like they're just progression milestones for May's quest. It's just funny how they're like, we have 2 lives left and it's Kanaka and Sol. Will May be able to complete her quest, or are we able to stop her? Goodness, imagine if in The Phantom Menace when Qui-Gon dies, the Jedi Council is like, okay, so there were 2 Jedi who fought against Darth Maul. They were Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. The one with the red cross on top of the hologram is the one that died.
Ah, yes, obvious it should be, since Obi-Wan standing next to me is.
Also, they brought 10 Jedi to Kofar to look for Kelnaka, and for some reason they can't find him without the beaver. Why aren't they using the Force to connect with Kelnaka and find him? I mean, Sol is, or at least used to be, his friend, so surely he could have used the Force to connect with him and find out where he is on the planet. Yoda even says later in the episode, I swear we need a tracker to track our tracker. You have that. It's called the Force. Oh, why don't they ever just try to tune in with the Force? I mean, they have like 10 Jedi there and none of them even suggested. Please just try it. Oh yeah, there is no try. That's right. When they just do it. Just fly around the planet with the ship and use the Force to track Kanaka instead of running around in the woods following a beaver. One thing I didn't like about when the fighting in this episode was happening are the Star Wars transitions in the middle of an action scene. That's not usually how you do a Star Wars swiping transition. Those transitions are to change the setting and the scene entirely, not in the middle of fight scenes and lightsaber battles. During the Phantom Menace final battle, we didn't get transitions every time we went from Anakin flying in space to the Duel of the Fates to Gungan's fighting the battle droids. During the fight scenes, just stick to the quick cuts instead of doing a wipe transition after every clash of a lightsaber. I do like Saul as a character, but the way he uses the Force is a bit hit and miss throughout the show. He's not a very intuitive Jedi. He doesn't even realize that Osha is actually May until she reveals herself. And he didn't sell Kanaka dying either, or when Smilo was approaching all the 10 Jedi on Kofar. He only senses him when he's like 10 feet away from him. A blind idiot would have sensed him by then.
Surprise.
They never sense almost anything in this show, and it seems like Venestra or Yoda doesn't even sense that the whole team of Jedi died. They're also sort of breaking the law with the twin storyline here because they were born from the Force virgins, just like Anakin was supposed to, which is why Anakin was the one who was supposed to bring balance to the Force. But now we also have these Force twins who were born from the Force, I guess, so I don't know where they plan to go with that. And then also in the final episode, all mysteries are revealed, or are they? And the answer is no, they're not. If anything, there's even more questions after the final episode. Like, why is Darth Plagueis the Wise hiding in a cave? Is he behind all of this? Does Smilo know about Plagueis? Is Plagueis homeless and therefore he has to live in a cave? And then he's like, damn these people flying their spaceships on my island. And that's the real tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? And what's up with Venestra and Smilo's connection? Earlier, we see that Smilo has those scars on his back that look like whip marks. So maybe he was punished by his former master with her light whip? Or maybe they were ex-lovers and they were into S&M. Who knows? Anyway, I feel like this review was very negative, so I'll share some short extra positive notes. The bleeding of the Kyber crystal was really nice to see. The acting was okay most of the time. Some of the scenery was really cool looking. The yellow tree was pretty. The place where Smilo was staying had cool vibes. And I really liked the chase scene through the planetary rings. I also appreciate the nod to the older style looking ships and the different decor in the Jedi Temple. I also love how in one of the episodes the hologram keeps cutting off when Saul tries to contact the Jedi Council, because we know that a communication disruption could only mean one thing.
Invasion.
Cool lightsaber fights, but the story could have been way better. 5 out of 10. Like and subscribe for more. Bye bye now.
I didn't do it!
It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not.